All right. Hello, everybody. I'm just going to wait a little bit till everybody joins us here. I'm just waiting for people to join the room. If you're watching on DVD, this is just the way it is. Hello, everybody. We're just going to give it a few more seconds here until more people pop in. Okay, there's a few people coming yet. Hello, everybody. Give it another few seconds here and then we'll start. Well, welcome back to the Carver's Wood Shop. We are going to now do the cardinal. A lot of people wanted to know how to do this particular cardinal. This cardinal can also do, you can paint it as a bluejay. Now I know the bluejay has a real smaller bill than this, but that's okay. You know, these are the ornament style. What we're starting with is a block of wood that is 2 1/4 long or high by 1 1/4 by 1 1/4. And we're going to get started right now. Let me see if I can move this up a little closer, so just hang on a second here. It got a little chilly here in PA. This morning was the first time I actually put on a sweatshirt, so that was different. Usually it's really warm, but today it was kind of cool. So it's hot chocolate tonight. In fact, my second one tonight. But anyway, the first thing you want to do is go down about 1/2 inch or so, and you're going to mark your piece with a little line. Then you're going to go here and measure out maybe another 1/2 inch down, probably not quite a 1/2 inch over, and put a, now that does not look straight to me. Why is that different? Okay. So, alright, this is what you're creating to get this portion right here. Alright, so let's see how this is going to work out. So this is going to be, you're going to go right on top of that line, and we're going to go in this way, and then we're just going to chop a little piece out, just like so. Alright, we're going to keep going until we almost get to that point that we had before. Okay? Just like so. And you're going to do the same thing on the bottom. You're just going to again, you're going to follow your little line over on either side. Cut little portions out on each side. We're going to cut some of that away and bring this down a little bit more. A little deeper. Alright. And the same thing over here. We're going to try to go up a little bit. I don't know if I have that wide enough. Oh, no, I don't. Okay. Alright. So, you just keep cutting this out a little bit more because it's got to go up a little higher. It's down too low. Okay, just like so. And you want to keep going upward with it. Alright? You don't want to go... Hello, everybody that's joining. We started with our cardinal. This is the one we're working on. And I don't think I have his bill big enough, but we'll find out. Whoops. I just killed him there. I'm going to come down a little bit more at an angle and bring this down just a tad more. So it comes down just a little bit more. Okay. Now we're going to round it a little bit so we can get over to the corner. Well, and you kind of work your way to that corner we have right there. Alright. The same thing from the bottom up. Now we're going to make this deeper. Alright. Alright, we're going to stop with that right now, and we're going to go over and start trimming the side out. And the difference between this and the chickadee is the fact that we are going to leave this point like you see at the top here. We're going to leave that alone. So we're going to go in a little bit at an angle for the back, and we're just going to go down just a little bit here, just like so. Hope everybody's doing okay. Okay, so that's kind of the little wingy thing there that you see, and it has this little turn in it, and I'll explain how to do that in a little bit. Let's just start taking the sides out a little bit and start just now, if you want, you can put, like from here, just like so, a little bit of an oval, and you can do the same thing over here so that you know how far to go. This isn't the greatest pencil I ever had, but it will do. Alright, so we're just going to cut up to that line and just kind of round it a little bit. Just get up to that line. That's all you're going to do. Alright, just like so. And you're going to do the other side as well. Some of you have asked about the blanks. I had a couple of questions this week about, or the last couple of days anyway. I had 2 or 3 questions. And I do have blanks. I'm ordering more of this size again, and also for the nativity set. So you can go on my online store. It's in the description underneath the class if you are interested in purchasing any. And we're going to do a lot with just this size, which is the ornament size. Hello, Justin. I don't see your dad here yet. Maybe he had a meeting. Anyway, we're going to just keep going a little bit here. And I'm trying to get that oval. So that's kind of how you want the top to look like. Okay, just like that. Now, the interesting thing here, we're going to just round this off just a little bit on either side of that. We went straight in, now we're doing each corner a little bit, so it's going in a little bit. Alright, now here, doing the bills are always the most difficult portion. So I'm going to use my little V tool, if I can find it. I had it here. Hang on. Oh, here it is. Yes. And I'm going to just go around this a little bit and dig this out just a tad. I should go the other way. That would be better. Alright, just like so. I'm going to do the same thing to the other side near the corner, and we're going to just go up. The cardinals are very popular at Christmas. They're popular anyway. But I will tell you, these birds, when they hang them in a tree, now this is a casting of it. This isn't. This is a wooden one, but a larger one. They usually put it right in the center, and I put a little eye hook in it. I usually like to use a bronze color. It just hides it better. But I will tell you, probably 90 to 95% of the people do not want to put a hook in it. They just, or an eye bolt, an eye hook in it. They just like to be able to sit it somewhere and enjoy it that way. So if you're selling these, if you decide to make some, what you want to do is you just want to ask people, you know, selling them, ask them if they want it as an ornament with a hook in it or not. I think it takes a little bit away when you put that on the top, but then they have an option instead of not having an option. And then you can just put it in right away. All right, we have more people joining us. Hello, everybody. Okay, so I'm going to do the bottom part as well. Just kind of, oh, no, 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 no. That is not what I wanted to do. And this is tough because I'm on live television and I'm going to have to fix it. So this is what we do. Oh, wow. Oh, well, it's going to be okay. It's going to come off anyway and round it a little bit. Okay. So that's what you have to be careful when you do this kind of stuff, that this one doesn't go too low and catch with the top part of that wing on that thing. So, okay. So now I'm going to go in a little further. I'm going to just take a little corner out. I'm going to just follow this out a little bit with the knife. I'm just going to push it in there and just go around the corner. And then we're just going to sweep that out a little bit. A little bit from the top, a little bit from the bottom. You don't want to try to take too much out at one time. Okay? See, I'm trying to get this to go further in the head, further over. Okay? So, it's out. I always tell people, if you make a mistake or something comes off that's not supposed to come off, you keep super glue with you. And if you can have a clean cut like that or a clean break off, you can go ahead and put super glue on it to glue it back on. Now, the only problem with super glue, it's not such a big deal on the bill because you're going to paint it one solid color anyway. It is hard to cover. I don't know why it is that way, but it is that way. So try not to get too upset if you knock something off. It is always repairable, always. I would say in all the years that I've carved, I only threw out maybe 2 or 3 pieces. I always did something a little different. Might look a little different, but it got done. So if you're a perfectionist, you'll have a real hard time adjusting to that. But if you're not and you can compensate a bit, that's what you want to do. All right, so we have this done. Now we have to kind of see where his eyes are. I'm going to go with the actual wooden piece here. Okay, see how we have that little hook in the back here? We're going to go from the top of the bill, we're going to go up, and we're going to kind of ring it like a upside down letter S, or a side letter S. So we're going to go from the top here. We're going to just, that's like the crown of it. And we're just going to go up, and we're going to make sure it's the same size on each side. So use your finger to kind of tell it where it's got to go. So this is going to come down like this, and it's just going to, just like so. Okay, when you look at it, it should be pretty well the same in the front. All right, that's all you got to do. Now, the eye will go underneath that. Okay, the eye will go underneath that. So we're going to take our little V tool, and I'm going to follow this line. This line should be, oh, it is there. It's hard to see with this particular pencil. But we're going to take this and we're going to just go across real carefully, go across and go right down to the bill. You want to be careful. We're going to outline it more with the knife, but this gives us a little guidance where to go. Okay, so all that does. We're not going to do it all with the V tool. Now, this has to be a little bit smaller, and we'll end up doing that. So right here, we're going to cut this out at an angle. See how I have it at an angle? We're going to just go down, and we're going to just go up to it, just like so. Okay, this is going to be rounded off. Let's do that right away. Come down a little further. All right. See, I'm a little bit up too high. Instead of going straight in, I'm taking it at an angle, so it'll make it a little bit lower like it should be. Okay. And same thing over here. We're going to just take all this rough stuff off. And right here in the back, we're going to scoop it. Just like so. Right there where that tail end is. We're just going to scoop that out. So it has a little bit of a dip in there. Okay. Okay. So you're going to actually cut exactly where the bill is and where the top of this crown of this head, and you're just going to take a little scoop out. So it has a little bit of like an eyebrow. All right. Again, I'm going to take all this rough stuff off, and you want to do that because if you don't, you're going to end up seeing a different color when you paint it. It will be darker. We're going to do the same thing to the other side. We're going to take it at an angle, and we're going to take it right down like so, and we're going to pop this out a little bit, and we're going to just cut very carefully. If you have any questions, you can ask. I'll try to catch it as we're going here. Okay. All right. So we're going to bring this down a little bit more. And we're going to bring that up a little bit. Just a little bit. That's good. I like how that looks. That looks all right. Okay, so now you have that little bit of an eyebrow. It should be a little more rounded, and I'll round that off a little bit more. All right. All right. Now, when I'm looking at this head, of course, it's much wider than this one. I can trim it down just a tiny bit, which I'm going to do. I'm just going to bring it down a little bit. And what you want to do when you carve, you want to keep looking at it. You know, if it doesn't look right or it doesn't look thin enough, you know, you can always trim it off later like I'm doing now. You don't have to do that all in one shot when you take off the sides. Okay. Next week I'll have another mystery carving for you. I have something in mind here. If I can get it together by Tuesday, I'll put up an event. If not, it will be the following, but I'm planning on it. Okay, so we're going to just go back and recut these a little bit more again. And scoop this out. Alright, hang on just a second. I need to cut that out a little bit. And I'm just going to do a little V-cut right there. Okay, that just makes it look a little deeper. And we're going to do the same thing over here. A little V-cut. V-cuts are great because they give it depth that you don't normally see. Okay, perfect. And you're going to do the same thing to the bottom. I'm going to trim some more of that off in a second here. Time for a little bit of hot chocolate. Alright, now, so that's pretty well the head for now. So we're going to bring this down a lot more. But we're going to figure out first where his feet are going to go and his tail, just like the other one. Alright, it's no different. So if we do the tail, go up about 1/2 inch or 3/8 of an inch, whatever you want to do, and You want to measure it on both sides here. Because you're going to make a little bit of a curvature here. That's a little higher than I like, but that's all right. So we're going to bring this, we're going to cut right in, and we're going to bring it up this way and this way. We're just going to keep cutting it until we have a pretty flat area there. Alright, just like so. And you're going to take your little V tool, and you're just going to kind of put it where it's, kind of follow that line the best you can. It's been cooler, like I said, here in PA. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to just cut this again with the knife. And we're going to just bring it in like this. And like so. And then we're going to just round this off a little bit. Let's do it this way first. Up. I'm going to bring this down a little bit more. So what we're doing is we're trying to create a little bit of a dome. Alright. Hope you guys are enjoying these classes. I will put everything on DVD eventually. Hopefully in the next couple weeks I'll have the bird DVD ready and the other 2 or 3 we did before that. And like I said, I'm getting a whole box, 2 boxes of lumber this week, hopefully. And that will, because I'm running out of lumber. So that should be nice and fresh coming in. And I'm debating how to do Christmas this year. Part of me feels that I ought to skip the retail this year completely, but I can't do that to my regular people that usually come. And you know, I've been doing it for a number of years now, and I have kind of a following of people, which is wonderful because they always want to see what's new and what I've been working on. And it's been interesting. Every year I have something new. The birds were, the last couple of years were the birds. And a couple of the large Santas. And I would love to do a large Santa for you, but I wouldn't be able to get it as detailed as doing these small ones. So we're going to just put the feathering in just right now, just to show you where to put them. Now we're going to go to the front, and we're going to put his little feet in. So let's flip this around. And once you have one of these, he's got really large feet. He's really got large feet than some of them. Okay, there's no right or wrong way of doing it, really. Anyway, we're not going to make his feet that big. I don't know why I made his feet that big, but anyway, the same thing. You're going to go down a little ways here on either side, and you're going to do the same thing as you did in the back. You're just going to make it kind of match. My drawing's really off today. I don't know why. But, yeah. I just started to do more work here at the farm, cleaning stuff up and trimming stuff. I miss the guy that normally helps me trim. He's stuck in Canada. But I hacked a few things off a little more than I should have. But that's just, I got a little carried away with the trimmer today. Good thing I'm the only one that sees it. Alright, so anyway, I'll do this. I was working on the gutters with the lift today. Got the one side of the house done. Now I have to go to the front side. I have an Amish guy coming tomorrow to take care of the chimney. So I have something growing in the chimney. The birds drop stuff in it and stuff grows out of it every year, so I need somebody to go up there and take care of it. So I called Eli, and he said yes, he would do it. He's a neighbor of mine. So he's coming tomorrow at 6 o'clock. So that will be interesting. And I promised he would be in a harness when he goes up there. He can get up so far with the lift, and then, well, anyway. Anyway, so that should be interesting tomorrow. I was about to do it myself, but I thought, no, I'm not as agile as I used to be. But there's a will, there's always a way to get things done. Okay, so we're going to round off these feet. Just round them off. You're going to round off the front a little bit, just like so. And, yeah. Yeah. So you're just going to get all that rough stuff off. And then we're going to shape the body a little bit more. Okay, now we're going to come down this way. Just keep coming down a little bit. Now, this one does not have, well, yes it does. This one has that little neck area again. So we're going to put that in there. Let's just round this off first and take off these hard corners. You know, this is still very square. If you look at it, see it? It's just more of a triangle now than a square. But you can tell, if I held it like this, you can see that each side has a flat portion to it. So you're really giving it the illusion that it's round. And I always love working from the corner. I actually learned that from Tom Wolfe years ago. I had a book from him, and he taught how to do it out of a corner. And so I started doing all my stuff from the corner, which many of you, if you've been in the carving world a long time, Tom just passed away. He was an excellent carver down south, and some of you might know who he is. Some of you know who Gene Messer is. He is also a great carver, and I've talked to Gene in the past. Very nice gentleman, very nice guy, and you know, he's had some tough time with weather down south, but I'm just rounding that off a little bit. But there's some excellent carvers out there, and you can learn from many different ones if you want. There's a lot of different ones out there. But Tom was more one of the first pioneers. I remember getting books back in the 80s from him. I'm just cutting this out a little bit more to make that stand out a little bit more. All right. Let me take a look here. Yeah, I just want to. All right. Let me sharpen my knife for a minute, okay, folks? I use a strop. And if you've never used a strop before, it's very simple. You just lay your knife on with the sharp edge on this side, wherever you're pulling away from the edge. And you do a few times on one side, a few times on another. There's a little bit of black compound on a piece of leather. If you have an old belt or so, you can make one. And then I flip it over, and I do it a couple of times on the other side. But you don't want, when you use a strop, I'm just going to explain this to you. Do not do this bit like that you see them do the razor blades, because that will round your edge off. So you want to keep it as flat as you can when you want to avoid bringing it up when you do it. I usually put it on my wheels, but that's over in the office, and I have this little studio set up at the house here, inside the house. So I'm not in the shop as much as I used to be. Not this year anyway. Anyhow, See the difference? Boy, that's all it takes sometimes to get this thing nice and sharp. Alright, so we're done with that portion of it. Now we're going to round, well, we're going to do the front here for a second. I keep jumping around here. Sorry about that. And I like a little tummy on them. You know, just a little tummy. I think it looks cute. Anything fat, chubby, big nose, big eyes, big belly, big feet, always makes these things look a little cuter. If you're doing Santas or if you're doing whatever you're working on, it usually helps it give it the cute factor. You know, if you have a skinny Santa with beady eyes, you know, it doesn't look as cute. Alright, so I have a little bit of a neck area there. Again, I'm using my V tool. I should sharpen that up, and I will do that. Same thing. What I do with that is very simple. I lay it flat. I'll bring it over here, see if I can show you. And lay it down and just run it a couple of times this way. And then do the other edge. Then I turn it over and I do it again. And then the other thing I do with this, if you have a thick enough piece of leather, I just take the center, and I just roll it down one time. Whoops, that's not what I wanted to do. Just roll it down like so, okay? And that usually gives it a nice little extra to it. So one of these days I'll show you exactly how to sharpen tools and stuff like that. We'll take that on a Tuesday night. Okay, so now what we're going to do, we're just going to follow this out a little bit. I'm facing it down. Oh, we got a good crowd tonight. That's good. I guess the season for carving has started again. Summer is over and people are anxious to get some things done for Christmas. In all honesty, folks, I have done very little for my shop this year. I just have not had the time. And it's been kind of sad for me because I usually have quite a bit ready to go. You know, but anyhow. So now we're going to round off the sides and we'll tighten this up a little bit, okay? Selling my house has been a tremendous tremendous amount of work for me, and getting the farm back in the shape I've been busy doing that as well, so I had very little time to sit here and carve. Between cleaning up and getting rid of stuff, and you know, just now I'm starting to, I want a little bit of a cheek there, okay, if I can. If you don't, it's not a big deal, but I like a little bit of a cheek there. So I'm going to do both sides. I'm going to just kind of round it off, and then we'll worry about putting those cheeks in and putting those eyes in. Again, I try to keep it a little chubby. And then back here, we have a little bit of a dip there. Let's see if that's on all of them. Yeah, it's a little bit of a dip, okay? So he's got his back there a little bit, and a little bit of a dip right here. So, I'm going to just start scooping it out, okay? Just keep scooping it out a little bit on both sides. Then you want to round this off a little bit, kind of meshing it all together. And like I said, you always want to stop and look at it and turn it around and take a look at it and see, you know, where you can trim a little bit more off. Now, remember, this all is going to stay flat, and that's the hard part to clean up all the time, but you do want to try to start cleaning that as you go a little bit. I know I wish I had a little longer. I do have a longer blade. Sometimes a little longer blade works a little bit better to get those areas. And see, just a little bit. This is one of the knives I sharpened. I was experimenting with it, and it seems to hold up pretty well. It was a lot of work. I mean, they were so incredibly dull, but I decided to try something off the internet to see, in case we can't get the Murphy knives anymore, at least I'll have something else that I can offer you. But I'm not ready to sell these yet until I test them out for a while. I won't sell anything unless I also use them or I feel happy with it, that it's going to perform like it should. Okay, that's just the way I am. I don't like selling stuff that just for the sake of selling it, whether that's lumber or whether that's tools or anything, you know. And I try to find things that are practical. Okay, we're just taking care of all these sides, this rough stuff, because we're going to have to take this off anyway because of the, and we're going to shape it up a little bit more after we get this portion done. All right. So, so Christmas will be different for so many of us this year. You know, everything's been different this year. And in Pennsylvania, I think the COVID stuff has gone up again. In our county here has gone up, but we haven't lost anybody extra in this county. But it's still prevalent, and people are still shying away from going out to eat and that kind of thing. Some people are doing it, but I don't mind going out to eat, but I'll eat outside if I had a preference to do so. And if not, well, then you eat at home. Bring it home to eat. Alright, so one more side here. Let's see if we can clean that off. There we go. Let me just sharpen this up. I've used it before, and it got a little used before I started today. Alright. And I can tell I'm going against the grain here. You see how it's starting to chip off? Technically, I should be going the other way. There we go. When you see that, then you need to turn your knife around and go the opposite way. Okay, so all that rough stuff is pretty well off. Whoops, see, I was going the wrong way. Alright, all the sides are done. Now we're going to look at this, and we're going to start. We already did this portion over here. Let's do this portion here. Let's just start scooping this out a little bit. Thinning this up a little bit. See how much of a difference just a few cuts can make on a piece. We'll put the eyes in a second here. We're just trying to make sure all this is taken care of. Let me look at it back here. I can see it better, so give me just a second here to see if I need to do anything extra to it. I'm just trying to round it up a little bit more. You don't need to have those cheeks in there if you don't want them in there. That's entirely up to you on what you want to do. Alright, so I think that's pretty good. This one's going to be a little bit chubbier than what I had before, but they're all different. You know, you can always make them thinner if you want. That's up to you. Now I'm flattening out a part for his eyes here, okay? Now I'm going to spray it a little bit just to soften it up on both sides. Okay, I'm going to respray the whole thing for a minute. Okay, what I'm using is rubbing alcohol. I can now find that sometimes at Walmart, 70%, and then I also use the water, 50-50 mix of the two. A lot of people have asked about that. Alright, so now what we're going to do, I need to look at it back here one more time. So the bad thing is I don't have my glasses on, and I should not have done that. Okay. hang on just a second. I'll be right back. I'm just redoing his bill just a little bit. I'm not too happy how that turned out. That's not too bad. Okay, so I was trying to get this in a little bit more so we can, okay, just cleaning it up a little bit. All right, when you use the water and the mixture and you spray it, you don't want to overdo it on the ends as much as you can, because sometimes when it dries it will check, or it will you'll see little hairline cracks, sometimes big, sometimes small. What I do a lot of times, I do one of two things. I just let it sit for a couple of days, and if the cracks are still there, I open them up a little bit more with my knife, and I get some sawdust from the bandsaw, and I mix a little glue and put it in. And usually you can't tell the difference. When I do that, I would say probably out of 10, let's say out of 100, maybe I'll have maybe 3 or 4 that will check. But you only want to spray as much as you need to soften it up. You don't want to dump it in water for a day or so. That's not going to help you. All right, so, all right, let's see here. Let's put the eyeballs in. Let's get that done. And the other thing is, they kind of, on the back here, they kind of slope in and out. There's a little bit of an indentation in the back. So we're just going to take a little bit out here as well. Just a little bit. Now we'll make that head a little bit smaller for sure. Okay? So, let me take a look at this. Oh, and this goes down just a tad more at an angle. There we go. Good. And I think this one had it already. This one side was missing it. All right. So your eyeball is, I try to oversize it a little bit. It just makes it a little easier to do it. So you want to try to find the same spot for the center. Okay, so the center of the eye is right there. Okay, it's a little hard to do it when the stuff is let's see, 1, 2, let's see if that's the same. That's pretty close. Now you want to look at it from the front, okay, when you do that. Mine are very faint, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a full eye in here, or, you know, you can usually, I had another pencil that works so well on anything that was wet. I'm going to make the circles back here. It's just easier for me to do it. So, let's see if I can get... Oh, that's really big. Okay. And the same thing over here. You want to try to stay the same distance away from the bill on either side, okay? Now, you can use your little V tool, or you can use a knife. I'm going to use a knife tonight. Just in the mood for that. So, what I do a lot of times is that little circle that you see, so faint. What I'm going to do is I'm going to follow that circle all the way around with my knife. And I'm going to go inside the eye, and I'm going to trim that little part out. Now try not to do what I just did there. You want the knife to do the work. Right? If it doesn't come free, you do it again. But this is why your knife has to be really sharp to do this. So it's not freeing on the bottom, so I'm going to just make that circle again on the bottom. There we go. And you just want to go around again, just a couple of times. You want to try to go straight in, and then just take it, try to round that eyeball off a little bit. Alright, that's all that's to making the eye. Now you can go back and fuss with it a little bit. You want to take this hard crust, this hard edge off, but you definitely want it to look a little like it's in a little bit, and that's why when you take your knife and you cut this bottom towards the outside and try to round it up, you actually get that roundedness on that piece. So, and the hard part is matching the eyes. That's always been the most difficult part for me. So I'm going to do it back here for a second, just to give me a little more now you can follow that with a V tool if you want. I'm just going to take my time, and I'm going to take that. I did my little stop cut. That's called a stop cut, what I just did. And you're just going to go all the way around. Oh, that looks pretty good. Okay, now if for any reason I see this is a little bit bigger, you can go back at an angle, all right? Just go back in an angle and just cut a little bit out and just kind of trim it to that, and you can make it a little bit bigger. Okay, now I'm going to round it a little bit more. I'm going to cut it a little bit more again, because I don't think it's deep enough. But that's pretty good. So again, you're going to kind of trim it in a little bit around that, try to round that little eyeball out. And see how that goes here. All right. Now, all right, so we got the eyeballs in. We have pretty well everything else done, except I'm not happy with how fat he is. Fat is cute, but too fat is not good either. You kind of have to make a proportion to the rest of the carving. So I'm just going to trim it down just a tiny bit more. All right, that looks pretty good. Okay, now the feet. It's pretty simple to do the feet. All you want to do, well, let me take all that rough stuff off first. Yeah, there we go. You want to round it as much as you can, and tuck this in because his feet will go in a little bit. Break time. Hot chocolate. Cold chocolate. Anyway, I'm going to put a line down the center. And we're going to put one line here and here. And notice I curve it a little bit when I do it. This will be up on YouTube, folks, in a couple hours. So if you missed anything, you can go back and watch it there. Like I said, I'll probably have a video of this later on with the two birds. You saw the picture of how the birds were painted. When you looked at the class here, I'll make sure to put a larger picture online for that, so you can follow how it's painted. All right, so we're going to take this and we're just going to follow line number 1 with my parting tool. Okay, line number 2 with the parting tool. I like to do one side first so I don't have to flip it back and forth. And like I said, these are wonderful little ornaments you can make. They do take time. I mean, I can kind of knock them out in an hour and a half or an hour, but then you got to paint it. And if I'm looking at my shelf now, there is a lot to paint, because I did a lot of the castings of the cardinal. So I'll see if I can sell some of them. But I'm going to be real honest with you folks. I was going to do a lot of castings of my stuff. I'm just not into that. I'd rather just carve it and have the original that people buy. I think, and for the amount of work and stuff, you know, it is a lot faster to do castings. And there's some carvers that do casting, it's fine. But I don't find it a fun job to do. Now, if I could get a company to do a couple of hundred of them, at a time, that would be different, but then they would sell for maybe 10 or 15 bucks. These are on me 28, painted and finished, and they all look a little different. As you notice, they're not going to look the same. And people really want hand carved things, so I'm steering away from that a lot lately. I don't know why. I'm just not. Maybe next year I'll have more energy to get into that, but I just didn't want to bother with it this year. I have plenty of castings here that have to be painted. They're different to paint. It's just different, and I prefer to hand carve. Alright, so we have the feet done, but now we have to put the little lines going. Well, that one doesn't show it as well as this one does. See the little lines, like its little knuckles? That's what you call it. So I'll just put one here with my little V tool, and just put 2 on each other one here. These V tools come in so handy, but the hard part is making sure they stay sharp. And I know a lot of people have problems sharpening. Sometimes it's sharpened depending what the steel is. But I have quite a few of these now. I have plenty in stock if you need one. And it does come pre-sharpened for sure. I don't send any tools out that you can't start, that you can't take it out of the package and not carve with it. Alright, now here comes the fun stuff. Okay. We have to do, remember we put the 2 lines on either side for the feathering. So we just do it with a straight knife. It's just as easy. And to give it more of a feather look to it, like that. Alright. And the same thing over here, 1 and 2. And then I just kind of... Now, I did not go to Hay Creek. Normally, I don't go to Hay Creek Festival. They did have it this year, but I don't think they advertised it a whole lot. I don't know anybody that went to it. I'm debating whether I want to go to the Hay Creek Apple Fest, which is right above Morgantown. I used to go every year. I think this year, maybe no. Simply because I don't have the inventory either. Okay, so... now we're going to do the same featherings we did on the other one. So some of it's repeating itself here. So I look at the front and I put this down first. Okay. Alright, and then I go on the back and I look from the side. And you can make this any width you want. I try to do a little bit of a curvature on it to... Okay, so let me see if that's the same width as that. Almost. Yeah, it's almost. So I'm going to look at it from the back. I can tell this is a little bit crooked. You're never going to carve both sides exactly the same. So now I'm going to take... we've got to do our major feather first, which is this one here on the front. Same thing with this one in the front. And then one other line. Or you can just do, I think I only have 2 on that one. So let's just do 2 today on that. So, 1 on that one. And, well, I'll do an extra one. That won't kill me to do that. Alright. You can do 2 or 3 depending how wide you want it. Alright, so I'm going to take my little V tool and I'm just going to follow those lines. I'm going to do the outside first. And then I'll do the major wingy thing first. Wingy thing. Feather, I mean. Alright. And then I'm going to do 1 down the center here. And then I'll even that all out with a knife. It's just easier to do it with a V tool. It really is. It's so much easier. But when you're doing something small like this feathering in the back, it's easier to do it with a knife. So, you know, some people use the V tool for all kinds of things. And, you know, they really find it, very handy for a lot of things. I'm just going to try to run that feather up a little bit. Alright, and we're going to put this one in there, and this one in there. Then I'm going to take my knife and flatten it out. So this little ridge here has to go out, this one and this one. So it's just a little bit of trimming that off. Because when you go to put your lines in, it won't be bubbly. Like you're going over a speed bump all the time with it. Okay? The same thing here. You just want to kind of blend that into the body. So it's sticking out a little bit. Alright. Well, if there's some kind of ornament you would like to see carved, you can just throw me a text, or a message on Facebook, or just put it in the comment section. We'll see what we can do. Some animals I don't do. I do an owl. That might be a project for later, maybe after Christmas. I do a few snowmen and stuff like that, so we'll see if we can get some of them done. But, yeah, we'll see. If you're answering me or asking questions, I'm not seeing anything right now. I don't know why that does that. Okay, now we're ready to do all the texturing that we did last week. This is the very, what do you call it? This is the tedious part sometimes. So, here again, if you want, you can take, I'm going to make a quick one of this one here. This is going to come out like this, and these come out this way. I can show you better just showing you with this. This comes out this way, okay? And so I start from the top and head for the bottom there, okay? And then I just go all the way to the front. And the same thing over here. I head towards the front for the brow there. Whatever you want to call that. I need to round that just a tiny bit more. I'm not happy with how that looks. Alright. You want to be careful you don't hit it into the bill. The other thing you want to do, let's stop with that for a second. I'll show you what to do with this bill because it has a distinct thing here. So what we want to do is we want to go from the corner, go all the way around, make sure it's kind of straight. And then I'm just going to take my knife and I'm just going to go on either side. Sometimes if you use a V-tool and it's not sharp enough, you're going to gouge it out like I did earlier today. It really has to be sharp, and because this is so delicate right here, you just want to take your knife on either side. And I use a slicing motion. I hope you see a little bit of that. Okay, especially on the end here. I don't just push straight in. I use a slicing motion where I push the blade along it, because sometimes that takes a little bit of the pressure off, and it definitely helps. Or you can just take the tip of your knife and do a very small V-tool, a V-cut with it. Okay, there you go. There you go. There's the bill. Alright, so let's go back. Now this little thing, it goes this way and it goes up. Alright, so we're going to come straight down like so. Alright, just like that. I know this is not as neat as I would do it if I was doing a piece on my own, but it gives you an idea. Notice I'm going up to the top. And I'm not going this way because I'm afraid it will knock some of this out. You do not want to go this way when you do it. You want to come in. Alright? It just makes it a whole lot less stressful. You're not putting a lot of pressure on that either. And so we're just going to keep going here. At least get the head done. And I'm going to turn it around now and just kind of mix match it all together. And sometimes I go over it, like in an area like this right here, I'll go over it again. Alright, so that's the head. Let me trim this off just a tiny bit. You don't want a whole lot of corners, if you know what I mean. Like this here, it's a little corner there. You just want to kind of round things off as much as you can. Okay, so now here we're going to go do the same thing. We're going to go underneath here, just like so. Alright, so we have the eyes in, we've got the head done. Now from here, we're going to do the feathering. I usually do one little quill up the middle of this one piece, and then I just go down. You can also do it the other way. It's just as easy doing it towards. It doesn't matter how you want to do it. This is not as critical as if you're doing wood burning. Wood burning is a little different again, and I've done a lot of wood burning. Actually, I should bring over my one cardinal I did. I think you'll be surprised. When we're done here, I'll do that. Stay tuned. You'll see a realistic bird in flight that I did a number of years ago. It is not rustic like this is. I mean, this is definitely a folky type carving, or a caricature type carving is the best word to use. So stay tuned for that. I'll show that to you. Maybe I'll do that after I'm done. I'll come back on. I'll get it and I'll come back on and show you what that looks like. Okay, so we're going to go in the same direction with the next row. I'm just going to show you parts of this. It gets monotonous to show you all of this. So that's how you do the wings on both sides. Okay? That's how you do the wings on both sides. Then, again, this part, it flares out just like the chickadee did. So what you want to do here is the same thing. Little strokes right next to the eye here, and you're going to start working your way down. Okay, this is the opposite way. This tapers inward on the back. This tapers outward in the front. Okay, so I'll just leave that there so you can see that. And so, you know, here again under the bill, we just take little strokes here and just go right around the eye. Try not to hit the eyeball. That's not a good thing. Or the bill, because you don't want a lot of jabs in the bill when you go paint it. It's got all these little holes in it. So you want to be careful where these little wing part of your V-tool is hitting you. And that's why it's so important to rest your thumb on your piece, because that really does give you the full control of how much pressure you put on it. You're putting the pressure on with your hand. You're not doing it with your arm. You're not doing it, you know, freewheeling it. So it's really important to learn how to control that little V-tool. And if you don't know how to do it, I would practice on a separate piece. It's always a good idea, no matter what type of carving you're doing. If you're not 100% certain how to do it, just get a piece of wood and try it. I did that with eyes, I did that with ears, I did that with a nose, just like a practice piece. You know, it doesn't take a lot of time to do that. You know, and maybe a half an hour of just really going at it and trying to learn how to do it makes the world of difference when you actually have to do a piece. Okay, so that's just a, you know, a study or a practice piece is always encouraged. Now you can make this into your practice piece, but most people don't want to go this far with it and ruin it by doing something wrong, or cutting off too much, or not putting it in correctly. So if you're not sure how to do these eyes, do them separate. Put them on, try it on a piece of flat. Try to do your stop cut and cut from the inside of the eye and see if you can make a round circle like that. And make maybe 10 of them and see if you're getting the hang of holding onto your knife and making that turn. So, so this, again, we're flaring out here. And you're going all the way now. I'm going to flip it around because I'm going to flare it out and head towards the feet here. I'm really making liberty of making these wider so I can finish this up quicker for you. Otherwise I'd be making it a lot thinner, a lot more compact, closer together. But there's no right or wrong way of doing these. Really, there isn't. And, you know, just have fun doing them. You know, I do maybe 5 or 6 of one kind, or I might do a few. Because you, like I said, you can do this one as one project. You can do 2 different birds with this one. So, you know, you can do 3 or 4 and change it up when you paint it. So, yeah, it's a fun little project. I keep trying to come up with new ideas with this size block because I think this is so handy to have it that you can hold it in your hand and just go ahead. Now, on the back, okay, this little feathering here, we put one up the center again, in the top feather, and we're gonna go this way. 1, 2, 3, 4. My favorite season is fall and heading for Christmas and Thanksgiving. I love this time of year. It's just the hustle and bustle of it all, and I know it's so different this year. I didn't quite get all my carvings. Normally my carvings would start like in June, or actually after the first of the year I start carving for the following year already. But this year it wasn't going to happen. Alright, so that's how you do your 3 pieces here. And we're going to do the same thing over here. Alright, so the feathering in the back is done. The feet are done. The front's done. The one side is done. And I may as well just finish it. It won't take me long. Center again, and you're just gonna I love doing caricatures of things. Realistic birds, they take a lot of time, folks. A lot of time. I have it on the mantle. I think I'll run over and get that in a second here. And I'll show you what I did back years ago. Okay, now we're going to taper it to the middle now. This one we taper it out. And I missed a spot there. Out. And now we're going to taper it inward. So as we're going around here, we're making the turn. I know I'm jumping all over the place. That's just me. Okay. Underneath the head a little bit. Okay, we got one feather done there. We got to kind of blend this all together. And some are deeper, some are lighter. It's whatever you feel like doing. You know, there's... Okay, hang on just a second. Why is this not plugged in? Hang on just a second. I'm losing my phone here. Why is that not plugged in? Hang on just a second, because I'm going to lose my video here. Okay, I know that one works. Oh, it would help if I plugged it in the phone. Oh my goodness. What is wrong with me? Hang on. Here we go. That should take care of that. Yep, it's charging now. Alright, so the camera was running out of juice here. Alright, let's see if I can get back to this again. Hang on just a second. This cord's in the way. There we go. It's tougher to do this stuff live because I can't shut it off and start over again if I make a mistake. Some of you have seen a couple mistakes along the way, but that's okay. And we're almost done here. Now I'll run over and get that other cardinal and see if I can fit it in this little studio here. You can see it. It might be a little dusty, but it's okay. Okay, these two have to be done yet. Normally I take my time with this, folks, but I'm trying to hurry. Alright, there we go. There's our cardinal. And hang in there. I'll go get the other cardinal that I spent hours working on. I gotta run a little ways. Alright, I'm almost there. There we go. Okay, so that is how we do that one. But here's the cardinal I did a number of years ago. Let's see if I can get this in here. There it is. Okay, see all the feathering? I don't know if you can see all that feathering in there. That was done with wood burning. Okay, and that took hours and hours. There's three pieces in this. Glass size, and it just sits here on and the same thing with the feathering in the back and how it's painted. Yeah, it was quite, and the bottom is the same way, all the feathering that's done. This took hours to do, but that's what it looks like when you do a realistic version of it, and when you do all these really fine feathering on them, you really have to spend hours and hours burning this stuff in. So you can see how much finer that is versus what this looks like. You know, it's much rougher. And well, anyway, that's what we did years and years ago. That was probably back in the 80s. Sometime. I don't know when that was done. Doesn't say. Okay. But anyway, let me put this away here. And I hope you enjoyed today's lesson on the cardinal ornament. And we will take it from there. And we'll probably see you next week with another project. I haven't I have it in my head, but I don't know how to tell you how to cut it yet. So let's see what I come up with by Sunday. And then if we do have one, we will do another project. Okay, take care, folks. Thanks for joining me here on the Carver's Wood Shop. This will be up on YouTube in a couple hours. Bye-bye.